There was a man named Joachim who lived in Babylon. He married a woman named Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah. She was very beautiful and feared the Lord. Susanna's parents were righteous people, so they had raised her to follow the law of Moses. Joachim was very rich and had a garden near his house, and the Jews came to him for counsel because he was the most honored member of their community. 2 elders were appointed to be judges that year, but the Lord said about them, "Wickedness has come from Babylon, from the elders who were supposed to govern the people." These men came frequently to Joachim's house, and anyone who needed a dispute settled came to them. When the people left each day at midday, Susanna would go out and walk in her husband's garden. The 2 elders saw her going out to walk in the garden every day, and they began to lust for her. They ignored their consciences, shutting out any thoughts of God and disregarding justice. So they were both overcome with passion for her, but neither one revealed his feelings to the other, for they were ashamed to let anyone know about their desire to seduce her. Every day they eagerly waited for the opportunity to watch her. One day they said to each other, "Let's go home now. It's time for dinner." So they left and went their separate ways. But then they each circled back to spy on Susanna, and each discovered the other. After questioning each other, they both admitted their lust for Susanna. Then they cooked up a plan to find her alone. Once, as they were watching for a chance to find her alone, Susanna went out at the regular time. She was accompanied by only 2 servant girls, for the day was hot, and she wanted to bathe in the garden. No one else was there except the 2 elders, who had hidden in the garden and were watching her. Susanna said to her servants, "Bring me olive oil and ointments, and shut the gates of the garden so I can bathe in privacy." They did as she told them. They shut the gates of the garden and went out by a side gate to get what she had asked for. They didn't know that the elders were hiding inside. When the servant girls had left, the 2 elders ran over to Susanna and said, "Look, the gates of the garden are shut, and no one can see us. We want to have sex with you. If you don't cooperate, we will testify against you in court and say that you sent your servants away because you had arranged to meet a young man in the garden." Susanna groaned in despair and said, "I am trapped no matter what I do. If I agree to have sex with you, it is a sin punishable by death. But if I refuse, I will still not escape your power. I choose not to do it. I choose to suffer innocently at your hands rather than to sin against the Lord." With that, Susanna cried out for help, but the 2 elders began shouting, putting the blame on her. Then one of the elders ran to open the front gate of the garden. When the servants in the house heard the commotion in the garden, they rushed through the side gate to see what had happened to Susanna. As the elders told their story, the servants were dismayed, for no one had ever accused Susanna of such a sin. The next day the people came as usual to Joachim's house. The 2 elders also came, fully determined to carry out their wicked plot to have Susanna put to death. In the presence of all the people, they said, "Send for Hilkiah's daughter Susanna, the wife of Joachim." So they sent for her at once. And she came to the assembly with her parents, her children, and all her relatives. Now Susanna was very refined and beautiful. Her face was veiled, but those wicked men commanded that she take off her veil. They did this so that they could at least feast their eyes on her beauty. While all Susanna's friends and everyone else wept, the two elders stood up before the assembly to lay hands on her head and accuse her of sin. Through her tears, Susanna looked up towards heaven, for she trusted in the Lord. Then the elders said, "As we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with 2 servant girls and shut the gates of the garden, and then she sent the servants away. Then a young man who was hiding there came out and had sex with her. We were in a corner of the garden, and when we saw this crime, we ran over to them. Although we had seen them lying together, we could not catch the young man because he was too strong for us. He opened the gates and ran off. But we did catch this woman. When we asked her who the young man was, she would not tell us. We testify that this is what we saw. Since the 2 men were elders and judges, the crowd believed them and condemned Susanna to death." Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice, "Eternal God, you know things that are hidden, and you foresee all things. You know that these men have testified falsely against me. And now I am going to die, even though I have done none of the things these wicked men have said about me." The Lord heard Susanna's cry, so when she was being led away to her execution, God stirred up the righteous spirit of a young man named Daniel. He shouted, "I will have no part in the shedding of this woman's blood." Then all the people turned to Daniel and said, "What are you talking about?" So he stood before them and said, "Are you so foolish, you people of Israel, that you have condemned a daughter of Israel without a proper trial? Return to the court, for these witnesses have given false testimony against her." So all the people quickly returned, and the other elders said to Daniel, "Come, sit here among us, and show us your reasoning, since God has given you the wisdom of old age." Daniel said to them, "Separate these 2 witnesses, and I will cross-examine them separately." So when they had been separated, he called for one of them and said to him, "How evil you have grown in your old age! Now the sins of your earlier days have caught up with you. You made unjust judgments, condemned the innocent, and let the guilty go free, though the Lord said, 'Never put an innocent or honest person to death.' Now then, if you really saw what happened, tell me what kind of tree the couple was lying under when you saw them together." The elder answered, "Under a mastic tree." Then Daniel said, "Well, now, this lie has cost you your head. The angel of God has already received the sentence from God and will cut you in 2. Then Daniel dismissed the first elder and called for the second. He said to him, "You filthy Canaanite, beauty has deceived you, and lust has perverted your heart. This is how you sinned with the daughters of Israel, and in their fear they gave in to you. But here is a daughter of Judah who would not tolerate your wickedness. Now then, tell me what kind of tree the couple was lying under when you saw them together." The second elder answered, "Under an oak tree." Then Daniel said to him, "Well, now, this lie has cost you your head as well. The angel of God is waiting with his sword to split you in 2. Then both of you elders will be destroyed." Then the entire assembly gave a great shout and blessed God, who saves those who trust in him. And they rose up against the 2 elders, for Daniel had used their own words to convict them of giving false testimony. In keeping with the law of Moses, the elders received the same punishment they were about to inflict on their neighbor. they were put to death. And so an innocent life was saved that day. Hilkiah and his wife praised God for their daughter Susanna, as did her husband, Joachim, and all her relatives, because she was found innocent of a shameful crime. And Daniel was greatly esteemed by the people from that day forward. After King Astyages joined his ancestors in death, Cyrus the Persian took over his kingdom. Daniel was the king's companion and was honored above all the king's favored leaders. Now the Babylonians had an idol named Bel. Every day, 12 large measures of fine flour, 40 sheep, and 6 measures of wine were offered to the idol. The king also adored it and went every day to worship it. But Daniel worshipped his own God. So the king said to Daniel, "Why don't you worship Bel?" Daniel answered, "I do not worship idols made by human hands. I worship the living God, who created heaven and earth and rules over every living being." The king said to him, "Don't you think Bel is a living god? Don't you see how much he eats and drinks every day?" But Daniel smirked and said, "O king, don't be deceived, for that idol is only clay on the inside and bronze on the outside. It has never eaten or drunk anything." Then the king became angry, and he called for his priests and said to them, "If you do not tell me who eats all the food, you will die. But if you can show that Bel eats it, Daniel will die because he has blasphemed Bel." And Daniel said to the king, "Let it be as you say." Now there were 70 priests of Bel in all, besides their wives and children. The king went with Daniel into the temple of Bel. The priests of Bel said, "See, we are leaving now. You yourself, O king, can set out the food and prepare the wine. Then lock the door and seal it with your own signet. If you do not find that Bel has eaten and drunk everything when you return in the morning, we will be put to death. But if Bel has eaten and drunk everything, this will prove that Daniel has lied about us and must die." They were not worried because they had made a secret entrance under the altar, and they always went in that way and ate all the food themselves. So after the priests had left, the king set the food before Bel. Then Daniel ordered his servants to bring ashes, and they spread them all over the temple floor while only the king watched. Then they left and shut the door, sealing it with the king's signet. As usual, the priests and their wives and children went in during the night and ate and drank everything. The king went to the temple early in the morning, and Daniel went with him. The king asked, "Are the seals unbroken, Daniel?" He answered, "They are unbroken, O king." As soon as he had opened the door, the king saw that the table was empty. Then he exclaimed, "You are great, O Bel. There is not one deceitful thing about you." Daniel laughed, and he kept the king from entering. "Look at the floor," he said, "and tell me whose footprints these are." The king said, "I see the footprints of men, women, and children." Then the king became angry and arrested the priests and their wives and children. They showed him the secret doors through which they entered to eat the food that was on the table. So the king put him to death, and he gave Daniel permission to do whatever he wanted with Bel. So Daniel destroyed both the idol and its temple. There was also a great dragon that the Babylonians worshipped. The king said to Daniel, "Look, you cannot deny that this is a living God. So worship it." But Daniel said, "I worship only the Lord my God, for he is the living God. With your permission, O king, I will kill this dragon without sword or club." The king said, "I give you permission." So Daniel took pitch, fat, and hair, and he boiled it all together. Then he made it into cakes and fed them to the dragon. After the dragon ate them, it burst open. Then Daniel said, "Look at this one you worshipped." When the Babylonians heard about it, they became very angry and rebelled against the king. They said, "The king has become a Jew. He has destroyed Bel, he has killed the dragon, and he has slaughtered the priests." So they went to the king and said, "Hand Daniel over to us, or we will destroy you and your household." The king saw that he was in danger, so he was forced to hand Daniel over to them. The people threw Daniel into the lion's den, and he was there 6 days. In the den were 7 lions that were fed each day with 2 human bodies and 2 sheep. But during this time they were not fed at all to ensure that they would devour Daniel. Now there was a prophet named Habakkuk who lived in Judea. He had made some stew and put some bread in a basket. He was on his way to the fields to give the food to the harvesters. But an angel of the Lord said to Habakkuk, "Take this food to Daniel in Babylon, because he is in the lion's den." Habakkuk responded, "Lord, I've never been to Babylon, and I don't know where to find the lion's den." Then the angel of the Lord grabbed him by the hair and carried him as fast as the wind all the way to Babylon. The angel of the Lord set him down just above the lion's den. Habakkuk called out, "Daniel, Daniel, take the meal God has sent you." And Daniel said, "You have remembered me, O God. You have not abandoned those who love you." So Daniel got up and ate, and the angel of the Lord immediately carried Habakkuk back to his own place. On the 7th day, the king went to the den to mourn for Daniel. But when he arrived at the den and looked in, he saw Daniel sitting there. The king exclaimed, "You are great, O Lord, the God of Daniel. There is no God but you." Then he pulled Daniel out, and those who had tried to destroy Daniel were thrown into the den. They were devoured in a moment as the king watched.